Okay, I wanted to show you guys this little test that I've been conducting here. As you can see, I got a new toy here. I'm trying out the Hornady lock and load AP press, and I've been playing around with the powder measure to see how accurate that it throws. So I've got a spreadsheet started over here on my little laptop to keep up with all this, and what I've done is I've dropped 25 charges on this column here. This is with the powder baffle in it, and this one over here is with no baffle. So I'm just about to wrap this thing up here. It's not looking like the baffle makes too big of a difference. So anyway, I'm gonna show you what I've been doing here. I've got my little my 223 case here that's functioning as a powder pan. I've got my A&D FX 120i scales over here that my auto trickler works off of. As you can see, my the case is zeroed out real well. So I'm gonna continue on dropping here, and I've been keeping an eye. I'm trying to give it as good of a fighting chance as it can. I've got that piece of masking tape on there, and I'm trying to make sure the powder level doesn't really get very far above or very far below that the width of that masking tape. I need to leave that open. So I'm just trying to keep as many variables as I can that I know of that would affect you know, the ability of this thing to throw accurately. So let's keep going here. 27.78. And I occasionally just check to make sure I didn't leave powder in the case. You know, that's a once fired piece of brass, and so it's got a nice carbon residue built up on the inside, so powder is not too bad to stick to it. 27.76. 27.72. 27.72. All right, just in case you were wondering, my target charge was about 27.8 or so was kind of what I was shooting for. Okay, let me get the camera situated a little bit better, and we'll go over this data. Okay, so I had the big idea of adding another layer of masking tape above the one that I started with, and so I filled the powder level up just barely above that line, and ran a whole nother column over here on the right, and that one is with the higher powder level. So I may, for kicks, drain some powder out of it and work on the low side and just see if the powder level makes a big difference on the consistency. So far, this one did not do anything. Okay, so curiosity was getting the better of me, so I had to go back and I put the powder baffle back in. You can see it's installed in there, and then I made some even more sort of levels, powder level indicators there, and I mainly tried to stay on the medium one. I think I'd fill it up to the top, and I'd make sure it wouldn't get below the bottom of the medium line there when I was running another set of charges. So we'll get to the data. Okay, before we get to all this data, I completely failed to mention earlier what powder I was even using. So for the powder, I was using CFE 223. right there. I'm sure most of y'all are probably familiar with this powder. If not, it's a very fine powder. It's usually a dream to meter generally. So yeah, anyway, that's the powder I was using. Okay, here's all the results that I had. I actually dropped 125 charges. Each one of these columns has 25 charges in it, and I've got 5 here. So yeah, I really kind of got addicted to this after a few minutes. But anyway, up here you've got with the baffle, and this was before I started paying much attention to the powder level in the hopper. So anyway, with the baffle, as you can see, there's all the different charges, weight on the A and D FX120i. And then down here at the bottom, I have the average, the extreme spread, the highest charge, the lowest charge, and then the standard deviation. So the average was 27.8 with an extreme spread of 2 grains, which, you know, that's within a tenth, you know, a tenth one way, or a tenth over or a tenth under your target charge, which is what most all powder meters, and heck, even a lot of your electronic powder dispensers don't claim to have any more accuracy than that, with the standard deviation of 0.04. And you know, the standard deviation is kind of an important thing when it comes to dropping powder charges, and I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, up here we got the no baffle column. So as you can see, out of 25 charges, the average was 27.77, an extreme spread of 0.22. The highest one was 27.88, lowest 27.66, and a standard deviation of a little worse. The lower the standard deviation number, the better. That means everything was kind of more consistent. Now, you know, I really didn't see, like, if you just looked at the extreme spread, I mean, you're only talking about 0.02 of a grain more extreme spread than with the baffle, but the, you know, the standard deviation did improve quite a bit with the baffle there. All right, now I put a little bit more powder in the hopper, and I think this was essentially the medium level, because I went back and put more pieces of tape sort of on the hopper. So I believe this was essentially the same as this over here. So here we are with a higher powder level and no baffle, and again, you can see all the charges up there. So back down here to the bottom, extreme spread of 2, and a standard deviation that almost got to 0.05. So the standard deviation continued to not be as good without a baffle. Then we came over here in even higher level. I think this was when I went to the high piece of tape marker. I don't think I ever went to extra high. So yeah, this was just high. So again, extreme spread of 22, and look at the standard deviation actually went all the way up to 0.06. I think this 27.9 is what kind of got me there. Well, no, because there was a 9.4. There might have even been a 28 in this column. I can't remember. Nope, there wasn't. For some reason, I thought I may have saw one of those. There's a 9.6. That looks like the highest one. Okay, anyway, now I came back over here to the baffle, and with the medium powder level, and it only had an extreme spread of 0.16 grains, and the standard deviation went down to 0.042, which is almost as good as this over here. And really what got me on this was this one drop right here, the 27.96, because look what happens if we were to change this to 9.4. Look at what it did to the numbers right there, 0.040. It actually beat out that, but that's not what it did, so I'll undo that. So now we're back to 0.96. Okay, what I was going to tell you about on standard deviation, you know, it's easy for me, and I think for a lot of people, to just kind of get hung up on extreme spread and average. Well, the extreme spread, the standard deviation kind of shows the consistency over all these 25 powder drops. So, you know, you could have, let's say every your extreme spread was going to be 2/10. So we'll just say 27.8 to 28 even. So your extreme spread would obviously be 2/10. You know, now if every other one, if you threw a charge at 27.8 and then the next charge you threw was 28 even, and you did that over and over and over to where half the charges were 27.8 and the other half were 28, your standard deviation is going to be horrible, because it's sort of like picture if this whole spreadsheet here was a target. That would be like you hitting over here on one shot and then hitting over here on the next shot, and then hitting over here on one shot and then hitting over here on the next shot, and just constantly bouncing back and forth between your two extremes, and never hitting, you know, kind of in the center area of the target. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's put another 27. Oh, well, I don't have to do that right now. We'll just make half of these charges. We'll take it all the way down to 12. Where's my 12 line? Yeah, there we go. So now, oh, I needed to go to 13. There we go. And now we'll make all these the 27.8. And I'll take it down to 24. So we'll have exactly 12 of the 28s and 12 of the, oh, whoops. Yeah, do that. All right. So there, as you can see, we've got well, I'll just, yeah. Anyway, got the very first one up there is a 27.8. So I should have 12, yeah, because it came all the way down to the 13th charge, yeah. Okay, so I got 12 charges that are 27.8 and 12 that are 28 even. And look at what it did to the standard deviation. See how it went all the way to 0.1? And the reason being is just because, you know, every other shot you threw or every other powder charge you dropped was on either one end of your extreme or the other. Now, let's just stick, we're still going to keep our ES at 2, like right there. You see we've got 27.8 and 28 even, so our ES is still going to be 2. Now, let's pick a middle number like 27.9, and we're just going to make all the rest of them, and I'll stick with 24 since that's what we did on the other sample size. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, 24. Now look at what the the standard deviation did, 0.02. That's because even though, yes, you had an extreme spread of 2, because you threw one charge that was 27.8 and another one that was 28 even, because all the rest of them were very, very consistent with each other, that greatly improve your standard deviation. And, you know, when you're reloading, that's kind of what you would want to see. You want as many of them to be as consistent as possible. Now, ideally, you'd like your extreme spread to be very low too, but standard deviation is something that you can't really overlook in this kind of process if you're wanting to see how consistent the charges are. Because like I said, you know, if you were to throw, if every other charge you threw was 27.8 and then the other one was 28 even, and you just constantly bounce back and forth between those two and never threw anything kind of in the middle, you know, that would not be good, just constantly bouncing back and forth between your two outer limits. So anyway, let me know if y'all enjoyed this. My dad actually has a Dillon. He's got an older Dillon 550, and you know, with the Dillon powder drop on it. And I'm thinking about using the same scales and the same powder and going and doing a similar test on his dealing to see how it compares with the Hornady. So if that's something that you guys might would be interested in, you know, definitely like the video or comment below if that's something you'd like to see. If you've got any suggestions, like if you saw something that I was doing that just really stood out to you as, you know, not being good for the process, let me know. I tried keeping everything as consistent as I could, like the powder levels in the hopper, and you know, when I was working the ram on the press, you know, I didn't try to be, you know, herky-jerky with it or whatever. I was trying to be pretty consistent and smooth across the board. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, and you know, I'm pretty impressed with these results, to be honest. I've been wanting to play around with a progressive press for a while, so this is me beginning that journey. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next video.